In today's video, we're going to walk through a new tool called Text To Blazor to help you rapidly start your next Blazor CRUD application using an AI-powered templating tool and a text description of your project's domain, enabling you to iterate in natural language to produce a working application and a clean starting point with your own customizations. Standard project templates are a great way to speed up initial stages of your project, but they always need a lot of adjustments to start your domain-specific customizations. And those customizations will depend on if it's a larger project template that provides a lot of functionality by demonstrating that functionality using example domains that have nothing to do with what you're building, or a simple bare bones template where you have to fill in all those details yourself. As a way to speed up that initial development process, we wanted to provide a tool that would use common ServiceStack patterns and enable a large language model to generate a definition of some services and data model that we could turn into a functional set of web services and admin UI. Text To Blazor is our first initiative into trying to achieve this balance by enabling developers to describe their project domain in a text description and get a flexible jumping off point to further development. By navigating to servicestack.net, clicking Getting Started and selecting Text To Blazor App, you are greeted with a project name and a text box for the natural language text description of your application. The text description is used to create a data model. Unlike other AI-powered project tools, the AI isn't writing all the code for you, but rather it's creating the data model that matches your description. These data models are used with features like ServiceStack AutoQuery to flow on to creating typed web service APIs, data migrations, and admin UIs. On this site, you'll be able to see some pre-made examples that you can browse through, and you can see the files that are being created and download the resulting project to have a look through. But let's create a new one to show the whole process end to end. Say we want to create an auction site for computer hardware. We can provide a project name and use that exact phrase in the text description. After a few seconds, we will have 5 generated options from popular AI models to choose from. You'll be able to browse the data models on the left and the matching APIs, migration C# code, as well as an admin UI written in Vue.js. Scrolling down a little, you will show options to download either the admin-only solution or one with the additional UI front end. Downloading the solution with the admin only will give you a cleaner, more focused solution, whereas the one with the optional UI will give you more examples if you want to explore the fully featured template. For this demonstration, we will use the admin only solution, download it, and extract the zip locally, opening it with our favorite .NET IDE. Here you will see the 4 common projects that you'll find in our ServiceStack templates. Those are app host, service interface, service model, and tests. Opening the app host project, you will first need to run our database migration, which you can see under the migration/migration1001.cs file. This creates the data model we asked for and is the same file we could preview on the web UI before we downloaded the solution. We can run this migration using the command npm run migrate, and the project is set up with SQLite by default. After running the migration, our SQLite database file will be located in the app_data directory called app.db. Running the project, we will be greeted with an admin UI for the provided domain. Here we can see the UIs for managing auctions, hardware, bids, payments, and shipments. The LLM attempts to match icons from each table name to give a more intuitive admin UI straight from the beginning. By clicking New Hardware in the admin UI, we can populate the data model, filling in the fields and clicking Save. The data model we have created has used enums for hardware types, giving us a friendly drop-down list. If we then navigate to creating an auction, we will see an example of managing table relationships where we can select hardware in a modal pop-up. And if we're missing a hardware option, we can even create it inline in the same process. Populating the auction details and trying to save, we get a friendly error message if we're missing a required field. Again, this is all flowing from the specs created in the TypeScript definition that's generated by the LLM. You'll find these definition TypeScript files in the service model project. For this example, the LLM has created the auctions.d.ts file. We also have the bookings.d.ts file for another working example. Here we can use the tool OKAI to rerun a deterministic process for regenerating our services and admin UI. This means we only involve an LLM at the stage of taking our natural language and generating our TypeScript definition. So we can make changes to this definition file, run the command npx OKAI, passing in the file name, and it will regenerate the API, the migration, and related admin sections. If you're not happy with the model generated from the LLM, you can make your changes directly in that definition file. And thanks to the api.d.ts file, you'll get a tight schema to easily annotate your TypeScript data models. So let's look at an example. We might have the requirement to make the hardware table column specs to be nullable, and we would do this in the TypeScript definition how you would expect, by setting the specs property to a nullable string, and rerun the npx OKAI auctions.d.ts. Our specs column in our C# models is now nullable, which makes the hardware table specs column created in the migration nullable, and the create hardware API specs property also nullable in our API, removing that related validation rule. Another example might be that you have a business requirement for an extra validation rule for tracking numbers on the shipment table. We can use an attribute starting with the @validation, and we get autocomplete in our IDE since the api.d.ts file has the definitions for these options. Here we can use the validate regular expression, specify our regular expression, and run npx OKAI auctions.d.ts. And now when we look at our create and update shipment service models, we can see that this rule has propagated to the APIs. If we needed additional hardware types in the dropdown in our admin UI, we could modify the hardware type enum and add an option like computer case, which would then flow down to our admin UIs and our service model used by our clients. Another example is changing the column types directly by, say, changing the bid ID primary key to use a long instead of an int. Again, rerunning the npx OKAI CLI each time to validate and implement these data model changes rapidly. And this functionality flows even further. With the use of the audit base class and auto query functionality, we enable a built-in audit tracking and history that we can see in the built-in admin UI. And like with other ServiceStack services, we can look at the built-in API Explorer at /UI to view generated API examples in 11 different languages to make it easy for clients to integrate with our services. If we only want to regenerate one of these files, we can change which ones are present in the config object at the top. So if we run our application, you now get all your custom admin UIs to manage your data, user management, auditable changes, identity authentication with two-factor auth, and much more, giving you a great starting point for your project's development. And the OKAI tool actually makes these definitions composable. So here we have the bookings and the auctions in one application. And if we want to cleanly get rid of the bookings functionality, we can use the command OKAI rm and then point to the bookings definition file. This mixture of leveraging the creativity of LLMs with procedural tooling and ServiceStack features gives you the flexibility of iterating in a way that makes sense for you, giving you a starting point that's specific to the problem you're trying to solve. Well, that's it for this video. If you have any questions or feedback about Text to Blazor or the OKAI CLI, let us know in the comments below. Alternatively, you can join us on our community Discord or GitHub discussions. ServiceStack is free for individuals and open source projects, so anyone is welcome. And as always, thanks for watching.